In this video, I'm going to be going over my process that I use to raise my Australian cattle dog Cowboy and how it's been able to help hundreds of other cattle dog owners across the world raise their cattle dogs to what I think is a pretty successful level as well. So stick around for this video. It should be a good one. All right, so when it comes to raising your Australian cattle dog, we're going to assume that you're starting out with a puppy or a young dog. I got Cowboy when he was 9 weeks old, a pretty clean slate to work with. So the absolute number one thing that I start with any breed of puppy that I bring home is focusing on building that bond and relationship the second you come into contact with them. The second they walk through your door, you can start to set expectations and really start to hone in on some of those things that are going to lead to your success or failure down the road. Now, building your bond with your Australian cattle dog can come in many different shapes and sizes depending on your personality, your dog's personality, and where you guys are both at in your journey together. Building a bond with any dog can start the second you meet them, and it really isn't too complicated. It's just really establishing a few key things. And the main one that I think is very important for this breed in particular is establishing yourself as their pack leader. Now, there's some debate around this and whether, you should consider yourself an alpha in your relationship with your dog, whatever it may be. I do personally believe that when you look at wolves in nature, there is a pack hierarchy, and the alpha should be you, not your dog. Otherwise, this is a type of breed that will walk all over you. So it's very important to set ground rules from the start as soon as you bring them home, and your dog will actually respect you and want to please you even more because of it. That's been my experience. I follow the route of operating as a pack leader for my dogs, and they are absolutely obsessed with me. And not to sound like egotistic, but like they follow me everywhere. They want to please me. They're super biddable, and they listen to me because I've established that role and they respect me. Some simple ways you can do this by bringing your dog home at a young age is just controlling food. Like, food is a huge thing. Water is a huge thing. By you being the provider of those two things that are essential for their survival, they automatically start to see you as that authority and someone who really is the hand that feeds them, right? Something I like to do with young puppies is to practice impulse control right away with their kibble. So I'll put their whatever food you're feeding, put it on the ground, but don't let your dog have it right away. Wait until they make eye contact with you and then release them, say okay, and then they can go eat. That's a really simple way to establish your role as the controller of basically their food supply, so that they respect you, they listen to you, and they're learning that, hey, when I make eye contact with him, then I get fed. So that means I should be, building that bond, making that eye contact with him, because eye contact is huge for building your relationship. You want them to be looking up to you and looking into your eyes for direction. It'll make obedience training a lot easier down the road. Another thing I do with every single dog that I've had as a puppy is I literally just bring them everywhere with me. I run errands with them. I bring them in the truck. I bring them into stores, pet stores, as long as, it's a safe situation for them and it's not like they haven't had all their puppy shots yet and it's somewhere that's like super busy with dogs and possible illnesses. That's a whole nother situation, but I do err on the side of socialization over potential safety issues, I guess. I think it's so important to bring your dog out with you. As long as you're responsible about it, you're thinking about where you're bringing them. You're not just setting them down in the middle of the dog park that could have a bunch of pet-related diseases. But the main thing is to bring your dog places. And not only that, that's going to tire that puppy out, right? It's going to mentally stimulate them from all the activity going on, all the observing, and then they're going to be tired when they get home. Okay, so we're building our bond with our dogs. We're practicing eye contact. We're practicing impulse control around food and developing that relationship, as well as we're starting to bring them into the world and socializing them. Socialization is extremely important with all dog breeds, but especially this dog breed. They can be very protective. They can be territorial. And again, it depends on the individual dogs. Some actually need more socialization because they can be a little bit timid, and then that can lead to things like reactivity down the road, which is extremely common, unfortunately, with this breed. So just make sure that you guys are socializing them. And again, socialization does not necessarily mean letting them meet everybody and play with every dog they see. Socialization should be more practicing neutrality in as many environments as possible and creating positive associations or neutral associations with them. So, you're out in public, you're at a cafe, dogs passing by, your dog should not be trying to go say hi to them. They shouldn't be barking at them. They shouldn't be doing anything. Practice having them in just a down, practice having them looking at you, making eye contact with you, and just being neutral in those situations. Now, as your puppy starts to mature, then they're going to start to need more obedience in order to develop into a well-rounded dog that you can bring everywhere and go on adventures with. So in order to achieve some of the basic obedience techniques, you're going to need to set the foundation super strong. And by set the foundation, what do I mean? Well, I think there are certain obedience commands that have a greater weight and therefore should be practiced more heavily early on. And honestly, if they're the only things you practice, then you're still going to have a well-rounded dog that you can bring places. I think it's more important to have a dog that comes when you call them with distractions than that rolls over or shakes your hand when you ask them to do that. So some of those core foundational obedience things that I always start with are, number one, recall, having your dog come when they're called. That's the biggest thing. Second is leave it. We're already starting to implement impulse control with the food as we started in the beginning. This is going to become huge if you're passing other dogs on the trail. Something toxic drops onto the ground. You don't want your dog to eat it, right? Leave it is going to be a huge command. Third is down. Dropping to a down can literally save your dog's life. And it allows them so much more freedom. If you're out on the trail and you see someone or they're running towards the street and you say down, they drop to a down. And that's a little bit more advanced. That comes when they're a little bit older, but it's something that you guys can start to implement now and then really refine and proof as they get older. So recall, leave it, and down are really some of the core things that I start to practice with. Literally, if you're only going to do two, I would practice recall and leave it. This dog, this breed in general, requires impulse control. Their natural impulse is to go and bite things. It's what they were bred to do genetically. And so having a, leash metaphorically on that and being able to call them off of things is going to be extremely important so that they aren't hurting dogs at the dog park or starting fights or reactive fence fighting on the leash reactivity, whatever it is. These are all things that I get messages about way too frequently. So if you're starting with a puppy, focus on those two things. The more reps, the better. It literally only takes 5 to 10 minutes a day of practicing these things, and the results will compound over time. So at this stage, as they're a puppy, just focus on keeping things fun, keeping things light, give them a lot of treats, a lot of positive praise, and just practice repetition. Once they start to really dial these things in and they understand fully what it means, they do it on the first try, then we're going to start to proof them. And what does proofing mean? Well, proofing is essentially performing that same action under higher distractions or without reward. Applying a more balanced approach. So let's say if you don't have treats with you 24/7, right? That's highly unrealistic. Then you're going to want to train your dog to perform that action even when there's not treats involved. So then you're going to start to wean them off of treats slowly, still doing it sometimes as they get older, but then providing a firmer approach when they don't actually follow through on those actions. Okay, so we're building the bonds with our dogs. We're practicing socialization. We're starting to introduce basic obedience techniques that will be the key foundational pillars to having a well-trained dog in the future. And finally, exercise and health. Starting exercise and health early is going to make sure that your dog has a long, happy, and healthy life free from visits to the vet frequently. This breed in particular has no self-preservation. They will beat up their bodies. They will put themselves in harm's way. And so practicing health and longevity techniques from the start is extremely important. And it's why I actually started our brand Back 40 Dogs, designed to fuel him like a farm dog for longevity. And it's just doing simple things like daily exercise to make sure that they're getting both that physical stimulation and that mental stimulation. They're getting the proper health and nutrition to fuel them for adventures, for growth, and just preventing injuries down the road. It's really not too difficult, and it's easier than it's ever been to fuel your dog with simple superfoods that are proven to help them live a high quality life. This is how you guys can work smarter and not harder. These are Himalayan yak cheese chews from our brand. They're only 2 ingredients, yak milk and lime juice. Give one to your dog. watch them chew on it, and keep them occupied, busy, and fulfilled. Mental stimulation is huge. It will tire them out almost as much as physical stimulation. And you guys will learn as they get around that 1 year mark, you might take them for a long hike and you get back and they are still ready to go, or they're recharged in minutes. So give them a chew, let them stay busy and occupied. And where you going, cowboy? If you guys want to check out other products that we've designed to fuel your dogs for more memories together, then I'll put those in the link below this video in the description so you can check those out. We really appreciate your support, and we've helped thousands of pet owners and a lot of cattle dog owners to fuel their dogs for more memories together. And if you guys want some help training your cattle dogs, I will put a link to Cattle Dog Academy. That's our online training platform, and we have the largest online community for cattle dog owners specifically, helping them to create and strengthen the bonds with their dogs. So I'll put that link in the description of the video as well. It's the price of a cup of coffee a month, and it's really just a fun way to try and help you guys to create better bonds and relationships with your dogs. So thanks for watching the video. If you guys enjoyed it, like, subscribe, go check us out on other channels as well. This is Cowboy the Cattle Dog. We'll see you in the next one.